Oops, there we are.
Na'Vi have gone for Treant Protector.
Oh, yeah.
Very early on. Oh, yeah. Alright.
Yeah, the Treant, a very interesting choice here to pair with that Ember Spirit in particular. One of the problems with Ember Spirit is that early laning phase. He's rather squishy, not known for his survivability. So a Treant should help on that front quite a bit. And we'll see what they want to do to pair with that. Tree is an interesting hero. He's got ridiculously high starting base damage. And that's one of the things I always think about with Tree. He starts at like 85 on just a raw auto attack.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
He also hits very slowly, and like as far as he's one of those things who makes your solo lane stronger, but in a lot of ways he makes your tri lane a lot weaker, especially if you're in a tri lane versus tri lane. Lead Seed's pretty good at level 1 as far as nukes and the slow go, but he can't really get in close without just getting harassed and kited around a lot. So this could be interesting, and he's also a melee hero, so if you're putting him with the Ember Spirit, it's something Fnatic can in theory punish. Even if they're not sending a tri lane up against Navi's tri lane, just with an offensive dual lane, we've seen a lot of the dual lanes come out, and something with an AA with the bonus damage coming in from the Chilling Touch, that's kind of hard to deal with. Like melee heroes, Tree and Ember may struggle against that.
Yeah. How do you feel about Ancient Apparition in general right now? We've seen him make a huge resurgence into the competitive scene. Across the international geographical metas. We've seen some Chinese teams run him, Korea, and obviously EU working him in as well.
He's just such he's not a very versatile support, which is kind of the funny thing about him, because he doesn't offer much sort of actual control in the laning stage. Cold Feet is not a reliable stun. It's not even that good in the mid to late game, but to me the hero is all about the Chilling Touch as far as helping out whichever lane you go. You sometimes see him like start off mid to help out a Shadow Fiend, get some early last hits, get some extra bonus damage going on. Other times you just see him synergizing with a carry, and that early Chilling Touch really helps out whatever hero you're laning with.
Yeah, that's for sure. And in a tri-lane scenario, it can be pretty darn potent. Na'Vi actually throwing out the 4th ban on Meepo. Interesting.
That is... Man, come on. Where's your heart and soul,
Where's
Na'Vi?
your heart? We saw Fnatic run a support Meepo the other day, and if I recall, it wasn't successful in that particular match, if I recall correctly. It wasn't really support Meepo's fault. There were some other things that went awry in that particular game, but
yeah, that was in the Dream League. I still really struggle to see Meepo become viable in his current form in competitive Dota.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the hero. I mean, I love Notel and watching him play it, because this is one of my favorite heroes. But I just don't think he quite has what it takes, especially as a core hero. Maybe support Meepo is the way to play him, because as a core hero, he can't go BKB. Obviously, you've got 4 or 5 Meepos, they can't all be BKB'd, and he gets just shut down and burst a bit too easily. But
but well, it's interesting to see Na'Vi ban him out. Obviously, they are a little bit nervous to see Meepo in the hands of Notail.
Yep.
So a little bit of a respect ban coming out there. Now, Disruptor will be the second support to be paired with Fnatic, and although a very powerful support, a little bit more versatile than Ancient Apparition, still doesn't provide any of that hard lockdown. They have the Doom ultimate for the ultimate and crowd controls, but they don't really have any stuns except for what Doom can suck up with that Devour.
Yeah, it's not looking like Fnatic are going to be going for that sort of more gank-oriented line. They pick up a Naga Siren, which at this point is a core hero. This is going to be a farming Naga Siren, and one of those really annoying heroes to deal with. And if you're going into a long like a late game scenario up against an Ember Spirit, Naga Siren's probably one of the better heroes to have, because you just avoid team fights, split push, and don't let Ember Spirit get into a position where he can start just 2-3-shotting people, and just spamming that W skill to bring people down.
Yeah, no, the problem with that, though, of course, it takes a little bit of time for that Naga Siren to come online, and she won't be able to put any pressure out until she gets that Relic, until she gets that Radiance, and then can start getting that map control. So there is that window of opportunity, but you're right. Once she gets that core item up, Ember will struggle just a little bit. But Gyrocopter, the 4th pick for Na'Vi.
Putting Dendi over onto the Ember Spirit, so we'll see Ember Spirit most likely in the mid lane with Havos on the Gyrocopter. Much more suited to Havos style, the Gyrocopter, one of those heroes which he can play exceedingly well. Ember Spirit for Dendi in the mid lane. Ember Spirit can win a lot of 1v1 matchups at mid, and especially when you see that Fnatic have Naga Siren Doom, one of those 2 heroes might be mid. Ember Spirit matches up great against both of them, unless Fnatic pick up some really strong lane dominating mid hero with this last pick. Ember Spirit should have a really good time in the mid lane.
And Gyrocopter's an interesting hero right now in this patch because he has an abysmal win rate on 6.8. It's down to 36.2%.
That is, oh,
Isn't
that's
that
sad.
crazy? That's really sad.
He used to be the go-to carry hero, and
yeah.
His
overall win percent is actually 51, so that gives you a comparison of how bad he is on this patch, statistically speaking.
Okay. Because he hasn't been nerfed that hard as of late. I mean, when he was becoming a top pick and just picked all the time, his flat cannon, the cooldown got changed from 20 seconds to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But he was still picked, he still did well. It's just the recent patch where it seems teams have figured out that there's these other core heroes and carry heroes that generally work better than Gyrocopter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, let me see here. Oh, there we are. You know, I had the teams backwards, gods. That's so embarrassing. That's a little production faux pas. Fnatic is on the tire, and Na'Vi are on the Radiant. Sorry about that, folks. I got a little flustered when the stream went down, and well, there you go. So.
Fnatic. It looks like Fnatic were banning their own Meepo.
Yes. My apologies, folks. That's a little bit of production fail. Like I said, Starladder has hooked us up with some really sweet graphical overlays here, but on the production side, it's a whole nother can of worms. So
yeah.
Well, I'm sure it won't be the first mistake made today, but what would a live production be without a little bit of misplay?
It's a rite of passage for
our
casters to go through the overlay mess-ups on a weekly basis as well.
Yeah.
That's why I'm staying as far away from all the little shiny buttons as possible.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. It's sort of fun, but with great power comes great responsibility, gods, and well. Early morning here too on the West Coast.
Late night,
early morning. What are you gonna do?
Fnatic. Well, I think they do go for. I don't know. What are they? They could go for dual lanes if they want to send the Ancient Apparition with one more hero to the off lane.
Yeah.
The problem is right now they don't have a true off-lane hero. Like Doom does so, but
I was thinking Clockwork could be a good option here. He's still in the pool, and he has been a huge pick on this patch. I mean, he has been a kind of a go-to playmaker for a lot of teams, and they could use a little bit of initiation power to hop in long range. And whoa! They will go with Omni Knight. Wow! You know, I've been saying for a while, I've been waiting for a team to pick Omni Knight, but I don't know how they're going to lane this exactly. 3 melee heroes. One of the problems with Omni is his skill set is good, but he needs levels. He needs experience, and his lane presence is just...
Yeah.
Bleh.
He, every now and then, like if we go back year and a half ago, EG used to run him with their old lineup where they'd run him as an off-lane hero. They had their whole knight strategy where they picked 4 knights and like a Leshrac or something. They had a DK solo mid. They had the Holy Knight Chen in the jungle. They had Omni Knight in the off-lane. And who was the last knight? Like they generally was Chaos Knight as their carry, and they ran Omni Knight offlane, which is quite possibly what we'll see here. Actually, Hani picks it up. So the other option I was about to bring up is you run the Omni as a solo mid. Him up against the Ember Spirit. It's not that favorable for the Omni Knight, but Omni Knight does okay against the Ember Spirit. You get the fast bottle up. You just spam Purification as much as you need. You have You have the magic damage to go through the Flame Guard as well. So
yeah. And Witch Doctor, the final choice for Na'Vi, another very interesting support. A good counter support to have when paired with a Treant, because Treant is like the ultimate in passivity, and Witch Doctor, well, he's pretty darn aggressive in the early levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the new Witch Doctor too, with some of his recent buffs. He actually has become a lot more viable competitively, and we'll probably get to see a bit more of him throughout Starladder Europe, and we're going to get ourselves into things. Day 1, match 1 of Starladder, Season 9.
This is an exciting day. I've done Starladder coverage for Season 7 group stage, Season 8 group stage, and Day 1 is always exciting. We've got big matches coming up today as well. It's either Na'Vi or Alliance in every single game today. So
cool.
Starting off with a bang.
The other thing that's exciting for me about this, it's not just like another Starladder season with like the first day of matches. This is a new Starladder that we're seeing come out. It's global. You've got 4 different regions with America, Korea, China, as well as Europe now. 8 teams going to the LAN finals. This is just a whole new beast, and it's, at this point, the biggest year-round Dota 2 league.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's a truly global format, and it's amazing that there is that opportunity for a new team or a team that's been struggling a little bit to really buckle down, and if they perform well, they can qualify for a LAN, and you never know, you could be the next world champion. You have that upward mobility, which a lot of tournaments lack these days. So, should be a good season. Very excited to have Fnatic versus Na'Vi for game number 1. Now, let's see how these lanes are going to settle down. Looks like Navi will have Puppey playing on the support Treant Protector down in the bottom lane. Havost will be on the Gyrocopter, also slated for the safe lane on the Radiant side. It will be Dendi solo mid on the Ember Spirit. Kuroki playing on the Witch Doctor, heading up to the top lane for now, though I reckon he may rotate down bottom. And it will be Fnatic for the hard lane Nyx Assassin.
Well, over on the Dire side, we have Fnatic, who have been in a bit of a struggle as of late, not winning all too many of their matches, but we've got Era playing the safe lane farming Doom. Mid lane's going to be Honey on an unexpected Omni Knight pick. We've got Fly playing the support Ancient Apparition, Trixie on the Naga Siren in the offlane, and he's going to be joined by No-Tell on the support Disruptor. Offensive tri lane coming out from Fnatic, and this is where their lanes become a lot stronger, because they didn't have that true offlane hero. They send the tri lane down there, they get these 1v1 matchups. Doom up against Nyx, as well as the Omni up against Ember Spirit. Not really one-sided matchups, and all of them should be fairly interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's for sure. It will be a tri-lane for Na'Vi, as the Witch Doctor does rotate back down after picking up the initial Illusion rune that did spawn in the top position. So one of the problems with Treant, even though he's a great hero, as a support, he doesn't really bring much lane presence here. He can't really zone people out. Whereas Fnatic, they have that luxury of their primary farmer being the Naga Siren, where they have 2 ranged supports. So they should have a little bit of better lane control. They do have a ward down here on the other side of the tree line. So Fnatic are in pretty good shape to get this aggressive tri-lane started.
Yeah, Naga Siren with 2 ranged supports is scary, because the Riptide does a lot of damage, and with the minus armor, these ranged supports suddenly start doing a lot of right-click damage. They actually can really hurt, and that's something where a melee hero like Treant can't move forward. He doesn't offer any lane presence, as you said. Havos on the Gyrocopter, also not a proper 600 range hero. They have to play very cautiously against this tri-lane.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You don't think of Gyro as having that really derpy attack range, but it is rather low. 325 or 365, pardon me. Definitely not up to snuff with some of the others, though. Havost is off to a pretty good start. He's sitting 7-1 against the 4-0 Naga Siren. We see Trixie in big trouble as the concoction flies. This may be our first blood coming out, and indeed it is. Puppey's the one to grab the bonus gold on that Treant Protector. So Na'Vi already getting one up on the board.
Yeah, just as I talk up Fnatic's trial and they give away a kill like that, and that was just Kuroki with a perfectly timed cast. That looked easy for Na'Vi, but that was entirely Kuroki's fantastic decision-making. He saw the opening, and Trixie was just completely out of position there.
Yep, and oh, now they may get a counter kill as Havost takes an ensnare. Kinetic Field comes out. Trixie taking some return damage, but no, Havost will be the one to fall. That Chilling Touch doing some serious work on the Gyrocopter. Puppey not out of the clear quite yet. He will get glimpsed back. Do they have the damage to finish him off? They've got another ensnare, and they'll make it a double kill as they take out the tree. Kuroki, he might not be out of the clear either. Out comes the Kinetic Field. The Cold Feet, he will get stunned, and Kuroki, he does go down, but it does cost him the Ancient Apparition. It will probably cost him No-Tail as well. It's just a bloodbath down here in the bottom lane. Already 3 apiece as we approach the 3-minute mark. Trixie will slither back to his Tier 1 tower, but Havos did come in for the cleanup.
Yeah, Havoska was the one who got picked off, but when you TP back in and get a double kill immediately, he's not going to be too upset about that one. That gets him enough money for his boots, but on top of that, so all in all, tri-lane for Na'Vi, even though it's 3 kills apiece, this is a great result for them. This is much better than they probably were expecting up against such a strong tri-lane that Fnatic have.
Absolutely. Now let's take a gander at some of these other lanes, as it's been nothing but action down here in the bottom. Dendi on the Ember Spirit is 15-5 against Hani's 14-3 Omni Knight. So this is working pretty well for Fnatic so far. Hani's holding his own in lane, using his repel, and it's making his life pretty easy. Omni Knight actually pretty well suited to deal with the Ember Spirit. Yeah.
Top lane, though, for Na'Vi, not going as well as they'd like. Nyx is getting quite out-farmed by a Doom. Doom just has a bit of a natural edge there, though. His base damage just outclasses Fnatic, so it is a bit harder for Fnatic to last hit. And Era's gone for Orb of Venom and just very early game centric items with a Bassering as well. Another kill, though, at bottom lane. The Treant Protector manages to get the last hit on the Disruptor there, and Fnatic are just kind of giving away a bit too much in this offensive tri-lane, considering that their solo heroes aren't really doing all that much, and they're not really solo heroes that can rotate. Omni Knight is kind of just resigned to staying in that mid lane, at least until he gets maybe his Arcane boots up, or something to help him rotate around the map, but for now he just needs his levels.
Yeah, and that is one of the issues with Omni. He's very powerful in that, basically when he
on
comes
the move
online
top
at level 6, but uh-oh, there it is. Haste Rune activated. And this Doom could be in some serious trouble. It does seem that Era is privy to it, though. He will sit very defensively behind his tower. Dendi won't find the opening he's looking for, and he will just scurry back to the mid lane.
Yeah, you've got the Haste Rune. I guess he decides to take a chance there. There's a good... If Fnatic don't have a ward there, which they didn't, and he decides to just play greedy, maybe you get that kill.
Yep. Yeah, the haste rune does change the state of things a little bit with those early ganks. Even without boots, makes that whole cost efficiency equation a little bit tipped in the favor of, well, we might as well go for it because I can probably make it back to lane before this haste rune expires.
Yep. Well, as for the bottom lane now, it looks like things have settled a bit more. Voss with a magic stick boots of speed. He can actually get phase boots soon. Having phase boots in a tri lane versus tri lane gives you that movement speed boost as well as the extra physical damage, and that's something where I feel like Fnatic at that point have pretty much lost his tri lane. Not to mention, none of their 3 heroes has a magic stick, which is so crucial in a tri lane versus tri lane scenario. So I think Na'Vi now have a huge edge here at the bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely agreed, and the last hits are reflecting that as well. Naga with only 12 CS and Gyro now up to 22, so Havost is really starting to take off. Whoa, up top, Era's in some trouble. Will Fnatic have enough to finish him off? He's looking for a Spike Carapace, and he just won't have the damage, that Scorched Earth regeneration, keeping Era alive with a few hit points to spare. Yeah,
he used the Vendetta to go in there, but just Fnatic didn't quite have the damage. So he's out of mana, can't really offer much of this top lane, needs to hopefully get the 6-minute top room, but if not, he may even have to just go back to base to heal up, get some bottle charges, and then look to gank with his next Vendetta.
And we'll see if he gets lucky here as that 6-minute rune just about to spawn. It will be in the bottom position. No tails there, and he'll pick up the double damage. He's rotating towards the mid lane, and Dendi could potentially be in a little bit of trouble here. He is level 6 now, so those Fire Remnants make the Ember Spirit a little bit more elusive, but in comes No Tail. There's that hop to a Fire Remnant way down to the bottom rune, and Dendi will be fine.
Yeah, interesting choice. He's bottle crowing, so he doesn't even have to go back home at this point. And, ooh, bottom lane, that's a deep dive from Havost. He may get punished for this one with Hani rotating in. Havost, he's still alive for now, and they're going to be forced back. Puppey healing them up with a Leech Seed, and, well, it looks like no one's going to take a fall in the bottom lane, but they forced an Omni Knight TP out of this one.
Yeah, and Omni Knight actually takes a lot of return damage. That Purification does a fair bit, but unfortunately, at least from the perspective of Fnatic, Na'Vi walk away with full health and a reasonable amount of mana, so that's just a wasted TP, I guess you could say. Perhaps his presence did deter that dive and help keep Trixie alive, but well, I guess it's not the end of the world. No Tail did hold the mid lane, so he soaked up a little bit of solo experience. So all in all, pretty even. Interesting build from Hani as well. He did pick up an early Quelling Blade to go with his brown boots to get things started.
Just to help him, I guess, with the actual last hitting in lane. Make sure that he doesn't get denied much at all by Dendi. It's a pretty cheap investment when you can just sell it off later, get half your money back. So I think it's well worthwhile. More interesting, though, for me, is Kuroki's build. He's gone for 2 points in the Voodoo Restoration. Who needs Maledict, he says. That heal helped out Havost stay alive a lot at the bottom lane, but it does mean you have limited damage output without the Maledict. But I think they're just saying, hey, look, we've got damage output from Havost, and that's all we're going to need.
Yeah, I mean, how do you rank Maledict? Last time I saw Witch Doctor, he didn't level that up as well. So I guess a lot of these Witch Doctor players just opting for either the more sustainable build or just upgrading the Paralyzing Cast.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the upgrading the cast. It's just when and how much of Maledict you get.
And Fnatic, he's in some trouble. He'll get doomed. No Tail comes up, ends up being a very easy kill as he glimpses him back into the kinetic field. So Fnatic will take the domination here in the top lane. Dendi, well, he's a little bit low, but will hop up and grab the regeneration room with those flame remnants. Oh boy, that Ember Spirit, man, he gets so irritating once he hits level 6.
He even used a second one to dodge the range creep attack just to make sure the regen didn't get cancelled. The range creep was following him from mid lane, and he realized it. So he's like, oh, better use another flame remnant, and he dodges it, keeps the regen. So it's a cheeky hero, and at level 6, so hard to gank him. And speaking of ganks, here we go. Could be Hani in trouble here. He seems to know something's up, or at least he knows Nyx just respawned. And this is like, you gank a Nyx, as soon as he respawns, you're telling your team, hey, the Nyx just respawned. He can TP to any of those 3 lanes. There's not much need for him to go top because there's no one to kill. So chances are he TP'd mid or bottom, but it still catches out Hani. Even though what could have been maybe a predictable rotation.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It seemed like Hani was at least skeptical, but they had enough crowd control to just take him down in basically one fell swoop.
Bottom lane.
Very nicely done, but I'll get late to the party. They will finish off Disruptor to get things started. Havost gets finished off as well. That's a 1-for-1 down bottom. Now they're looking for a kill onto Puppey. Kuroki does throw out the sleep. Ember Spirit will get a deep dive and catches the Ancient Apparition.
And he's still chasing. Did he just... No, okay. What? 2 flame spirits. I think he messed up a bit with those hotkeys, but you can see this here is only recently been added because these pros even aren't quite fully used to his arsenal and what he does. I mean, Dendy knows what he does, but that was just a bit of a miscue, which you would never see him do on one of his traditional heroes, like his Templar Assassin or his Puck.
Yeah, and Dendy seems pretty on point so far with the Fire Remnants for the most part, but we've seen other Ember Spirit players who are just obviously not comfortable with that positioning tool. We see Dendy taking a lot of damage from Hani in the mid lane, but unfortunately, once Omni Knight uses his Purification, there's not much damage that he can put out after that, so a fair bit of burst, but no follow-up, and Dendy will be just fine.
Yep, Rune's going to spawn bottom. Oh, meanwhile, top lane, there's another gank coming in from Fnatic, another Vendetta gank, and another successful kill. They kill off Trixie at top, so...
And down bottom, now we see another fight breaking out. Kuroki caught inside the kinetic field. He will get picked off. Fly finishes him off with Chilling Touch auto attack.
Looks like it was a glimpse back, so I imagine he just got a little bit of vision. You pull him back in and you get that kill. But that's where Fnatic know as soon as they see two heroes top, they can just go for any hero they see at bottom. And it's still a good trade for Na'Vi. They get a more important kill on Trixie. They just lose their Witch Doctor, and they're also pressuring this tower at top. So Fnatic's done a fantastic job this game of rotating. Only 2 kills he's been involved in, but it's more crucial kills at this point in the game.
And meanwhile up top, No Tail will rotate in, throws out a kinetic field, unfortunately off the mark. The tower still falls. Pavo's the one to grab the last hit, but out comes the Doom ultimate onto Funnick. He does manage to get the Spike Carapace off ahead of time. In comes the Treant, Overgrowth connects. Hani with the ultimate will buy them some time. No Tail, the one that's reasonably low, but does get a Purification. Now Trixie joining the fray. It's a straight 4v4 up here in the top. Dendy rotating in from the backside as well. Everyone's still alive, but now the Ember Spirit's here. Big damage coming out. Disruptor the first to fall. Trixie taking heavy damage. Fire Remnant will be enough to secure the second kill. And meanwhile, back up in the lane, Na'Vi starting to repel Fnatic. Oh, a beautiful cast taking a lot of bounces. That secures the kill on Era. Now Hani's in big trouble. He has repel on, but all 5 of Na'Vi are diving to tier 2. They want this Omni Knight, and they will have him. Down he goes, a triple kill coming out for the Ember Spirit.
That's more like it from Denny. Oh, Ancient Apparition ultimate gonna go flying. Not enough damage. Doesn't even land on Funnick anyways. And Na'Vi's just, they're so durable. Like, they got low, but they can't actually be killed off. The Treant heals them up with the Leech Seed, the Living Armor. Kurokai heals them up with the Voodoo Restoration. And it just makes it really hard for Fnatic to actually burst anyone down. Even when they catch a what looks like a really good teamfight initiation. The Doom doesn't even kill anyone off, and Na'Vi just bounce back.
Yeah, and it's a little ironic. You think if the team with Omni Knight is the team that has a lot of sustain, but it was a well-timed ultimate from Hani. The problem was Dendy wasn't there yet, so Dendy didn't even have to deal with that magic or the physical immunity, so to speak. By the time he got there, everyone was trying to pick up kills, and it was an easy cleanup for the Ember.
Yeah, well, we'll see where Na'Vi look to go from here, but with the map control they've just got, they can start looking to take down these tier 1 towers, not to mention their team fight's pretty impressive at this point, even without the BKB on Havos, so they can wait for that if they want, but it looks to me like they're happy to just group up a bit more and just go for these fights. Dendy really is at the peak of his strength, at least for the early game, with his drums, Arcane Boots up. He's just getting super aggressive now that he's level 11.
Absolutely, and he's going to move into the Dire Jungle. He will take the Doom ultimate.
Ooh,
AA ulti will connect as well, and I think Dendy's in big trouble. Yes, indeed, Doom will finish him off. In comes Havos, though. Another Overgrowth comes out. That's a kill on Trixie as well as the Ancient Apparition. Omni Knight gets cleaned up as well. Dendy will actually buy back. Era now in big trouble. No Tail throws out a Kinetic Field and Static Storm. Maybe they can finish off Havos, but no, the heal from Witch Doctor just doing some serious work. It ends up being a 1 for 5. Oh no, Fnatic's in big trouble here already, gods.
Yeah, that Witch Doctor got a cast plus Death Ward on 2 heroes, isolated them out, brought them down. Even with Dendy getting killed there, I mean, he could have not bought back and Na'Vi still win that fight. The fact he bought back gets him a couple more kills, gets Na'Vi a 10 kill lead, and at this point, they've got an 8k gold lead over Fnatic just 13.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah. And this is where that Naga pick starts to be a little bit of a double-edged sword. We see Trixie with just so little to his name now. He's got a Ring of Aquila, has himself a Poor Man's Shield, but that's about it. If he was going for a Radiance, 14 minutes in, he's not even close to the Relic with only 400 gold in the bank. And this is where, I mean, this carry Naga just isn't really living up to the name. Now, there's going to be another engage at the tier 2 mid. Havost maybe diving a little bit deep here, but support will be inbound. Hani doing some damage to the Purification, but he takes too much in return. He'll fall as Ember Spirit comes in. The Naga Siren gets taken out as well. The remaining 3 from Fnatic will retreat into the tier 3, but Na'Vi, they won't stop there. They'll dive it. Dendy is in the front lines, balls to the wall, not a care in the world. Era now getting chased out of his own base by Na'Vi. And he will get picked off.
His own base isn't safe. He's like, get me out of here. Na'Vi are just coming after me. And you can run. You can't hide from this Na'Vi team. They'll chase you down. Dendi's not done. He wants no-tell as well. Not going to get him for now, but...
Oh, no.
This is looking grim for Fnatic here in the Starladder Season 9 European opening match.
It really is. This Tier 2 mid still alive with plenty of hit points to spare, but Na'Vi, they've got plenty of sustain. I mean, they could continue pressuring this tower if they really want to. This pairing between the Treant and the Witch Doctor, so much sustain, like you mentioned, between the Leech Seed mixed with the Voodoo Restoration. Fnatic just simply can't keep up in these teamfights. They don't have enough damage to counteract all of that AoE healing.
Max Voodoo Restoration, and yeah, like... It's just as you say, Fnatic just can't get it off. And this is with an Ancient Apparition. This is, in theory, the hero that counters heals, but we're just not really seeing it. The problem is your AA ultimate, it's not always going to be hitting every hero. It's not really a reliable enough spell to have in a team fight.
Oh, and an Overgrowth comes out from Puppey, but Trixie will be there with the Song of the Siren to get the reset. They'll be able to make it back into their base, but... That's a long cooldown, 180 seconds. That's 3 minutes of time that Na'Vi know they can be aggressive, and Fnatic don't have that reset tool. Hani does have the ultimate up, so the Guardian Angel could come in handy in this next team fight. Possibly could be a turning point for Fnatic if they make a hold here, but it's going to have to be an ult for the ages.
And Dendi's going for a Diffusal Blade. This will just completely shut out the Omni Knight. You can't rely on that Repel, the Guardian Angel, to stay alive in these fights at that point, and normally you think of Ember Spirit going for those more late-game damage items, but Na'Vi want to end this fast. They don't want to drag this one out. They're just going to look to counter everything Fnatic have. And the Omni Knight is going for more focus on the Degen Aura. He's only got the 1 point in Repel, so he still has that Degen Aura working for him, but...
Interesting.
It's going to be tough for Fnatic to take any sort of a fight here, and they're just going to go for it. 5-man smoke, this to me is just a last-ditch effort to try and take a big team fight using their big AoE combo.
And only 16 minutes in, that seems like a weird thing to say, but I mean, I feel like they're about at that point where they have to do something crazy. 12,000 gold and experience advantage going the way of Na'Vi. Pretty darn sizable for this state in the game era. Will start things off with an ultimate on to Dendi. In comes the ultimate from Disruptor as well. AA ulti does connect on Kuroki, but meanwhile around the backside they grab a kill on Ancient Apparition. Out comes the ult from Omni Knight, and not the most well-timed ultimate. Havost is diving the tower, looking to find a kill here. Will catch off the Doom, but Na'Vi actually overcommitting a little bit here. Treant gets picked off. They grab a kill on the Disruptor as well as the Omni Knight.
Though.
Yeah, they're just too fat right now. Even though they grabbed 2 kills on Na'Vi, Kuroki did buy back, and Fnatic, they'll get cleaned up, and they GG out. Wow.
I mean, that last fight, like, it goes okay for Fnatic, then as soon as the Doom wears off on Dendi, that's when they're ready to go again. That's when just Dendi comes back in and wipes out Fnatic.
Yeah, so a very surprising game one. I think Na'Vi were the favorites coming in here to get things kicked off, but would not have guessed a 17-minute victory for Team Na'Vi here. Looking good. It was exciting to see Omni Knight in full form in the mid lane, but unfortunately, it just did not work so well. Yeah,
Fnatic's woes kind of continue. They haven't had great success as of late. They've been just not in the best form, and this is a bit of a worry for them. It's their first match. It's a game against Na'Vi, not one that they necessarily have to win or expected to win to qualify in that top 4, but you got to get those wins somewhere. And to me, the bigger problem for Fnatic is just finding that form which they need, because all the big tournaments coming up, Starladder, and then you've got Dream League going on. You've got all these big LAN tournaments in June.
Yeah,
you need to start thinking about, let's get in form. Let's find our mojo.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about Omni Knight right now? Hani ended that game 0-5-1, but I feel like those statistics are a little bit misleading, because in the laning phase, he really held his own against Ember Spirit. He was going blow for blow. The farm was reasonably even. Does Omni seem viable against an Ember Spirit mid?
I think just holding your own and trading farm of it isn't really enough. Like, the hero Omni Knight just didn't offer enough in the mid game. Whereas you look at Ember Spirit, he can roam around just wreaking havoc. Similar how like a Storm Spirit might do that. What's Omni Knight going to do? He doesn't have much mobility, doesn't have much ganking potential. He's a defensive, like, protector type hero, and that's not really what you want out of your solo mid generally.
Right. Now that's a really good point. Being able to farm on Omni Knight is not nearly as valuable as having farm on an Ember Spirit.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a problem. Now, coming up next, guys, we will have a little bit of a break here, at least 20 minutes or so, but we do have Alliance versus Team Cleave coming up next. And Alliance, we all know pretty well, but let's take a look at the Team Cleave roster, make use of these overlays here. And let's see, Roger, Dress, yeah, players that I don't quite remember. I wish that wouldn't change quite so quickly. But
these guys did not play in the last Starladder season. One of the teams coming up later is like a newly sponsored team who used to play, but these guys are mostly unrecognized name. Roger, Zacho, Lo, these are gonna be new players for us to see and be interesting to see how they match up against Alliance. This is going to be a good, a tough way for any team to start off your campaign, but
absolutely. So this is our overall schedule for today, guys. Alliance versus Cleve next, then it will be Na'Vi versus Team Ahead, and then it will be Alliance versus Team Insane to get things finished off. So we'll have a short break here, and then we'll be coming back with our second match of the day for the Starladder EU day number 1. I'm Zyori. With me today is Gods. We'll be back after this short break.